Bonjour! In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make the classic Empire style bodice. To get started, you'll need a copy of your bodice block with your contouring guidelines on it. You'll need marking tools, a pair of scissors. I have my pins with me. You need tape measure, clear tape, and some rulers. So to get started, I am using my semi-fitted dot to minimize the risk of having a pointy bust because my dot is going to be so short and the contour points would be too wide for me to have a dot that is smooth. So I am using the semi-fitted one to minimize a pointy bust. And now I am scoring in from the center front to the dot leg that I am using, which is my semi-fitted dot leg. And I am measuring that part that I just separated with my pin. And I am removing a 1/4 inch from that measurement and then marking it on the side seam. So this measurement for the lower part on the side, it is the front minus a 1/4 inch. And that's going to be the same thing for my side on the back as well as my center back. So my center back, my side back, my side front, it is all equal to the lower front minus a 1/4 inch. So all of these 3 points are equal. And now that I've marked my points, I am going to connect them. I'm connecting the side front to the dot leg, that's semi-fitted dot leg. And then I'm scoring in from the back here. And I'm going to measure that line, that lower line, from the original dot leg and not the contour. And I'm marking it on the other side as well, just to make sure everything is equal. I'm gonna connect it to the side seam. And this is what my pattern is looking like so far. I am liking it. And now to the next step, I am going to measure a 1/4 inch out from the dot leg on that midriff section. It is going to be a 1/4 inch out from the main dot, not the contour part. And that's going to be on each side. And then I am going to connect those points to my contour dot point. I'm also supposed to connect it to the main dot point as well. So this dot that we're marking here, that is for when you have a cutout style, and the main dot point is for a regular cut. And now I'm going to connect these points to the dot leg as well from the 1/4 inch mark. All right, now that we have the lower parts all set, it's time to cut and put together the midriff, which is the lower part, but just clean it up and put it all together. All right, so now I'm starting with the back piece for my midriff. I am cutting all of the dot space off, the contoured space off, to just create one piece for the back midriff. And I'm using my tape to put the pieces together and pretty much closing all the space for the dot and the contour. All right, so now I have my back piece taped together. I'm going to copy it over onto a new piece of paper so I can be able to smooth out my lines easily. I am tracing around it, so it's important to make sure if you do this, you cut out the outline so that your pattern piece does not end up bigger than it should be. And I'm also going to mark the center back as what it is so I do not get confused. All right, so now I'm done tracing. I am going to smooth out my lines with my curved ruler. And I'm doing that for the top part and the waist part. And now I'm done. I'm cutting my piece out and I will be done with the midriff section for the back. And now it's time to move on to the midriff section for the front. Although I marked the semi-fitted dot for the top part, I will be removing all of the contoured excess for the bottom part. It will all align at the end. I will show you how, of course, but I am removing all of the excess for the lower part. I just didn't do that for the top part because I didn't want my dot to be too pointy for the top section. That's why I use the more narrow dot to avoid a pointy bust. So I will explain more later when we get to that part. But right now I'm taping my pieces together after closing in all of the dot space and the contour space. And then I'm going to trace that, copy this piece, and then smooth out my lines. And now I'm doing the same thing that I did for the back, marking my center front so I can differentiate between the center front and the side front. I am using my curve ruler to smooth out my line. And for the waistline, if my center front was squared out like it should have been, I would not need any smoothing out. And I did mention how to fix that if you do not have your center front squared out. So definitely check out my adjustment video all the way at the end. And now it's time to cut my piece for the front midriff. And I am done with the midriff section in the back. And now it's time for the exciting part, the front section. I will be extending my front section, so I need that scrap piece of paper, extra piece of paper to put underneath the front and tape everything down so that I can extend my lines at the front. All right, so now for the contour space that I did not mark because I'm using my semi-fitted dot, I measured that and take it out of the side seam. That total is 3/8 of an inch. The contour space that is not accounted for because I'm using my semi-fitted dot. The total remaining is 3/8 of an inch, and I marked that on the side. And here I'm using my ruler and I'm using the curvy side. You don't have to do this. You can use the straight side and connect your point to the underarm line and just remove your excess. But I'm using the curvy side because it helps me to get all the way to the underarm line actually because I use my upper bust measurement there and I don't want to remove any excess ease from there. I'm okay removing ease only where I have my full bust measurement, which is by that bust line, and that is fine with me. I have a whole 1 inch ease added to my garment anyway, so even if I did remove some excess from the underarm line, that still would have been fine to give me a contoured look, especially because it's only on the front. Now I'm extending my dot legs to 1/2 inch. That is my semi-fitted dot legs. And for the center front, I am going to extend it to 1/4 of an inch. The standard measurement would have been 1/8 of an inch at the center front and 1/4 of an inch for the dot legs. Right now I'm connecting my dot leg to the center front and I am going to connect the other dot leg to the side seam. And it doesn't even go all the way to the side seam. Once I'm done with that, I am going to finish off my dot legs and my center front, which I should have been done with a line already, but I'm just finishing it off now. I do like that I use the 1/2 inch extension for the dot legs and the 1/4 inch for the center front because I'm 6 feet. My body is not standard. That helps me to move around more comfortable. It just feels way more comfortable than when I've used the standard extension measurement. And now I'm just cutting off all of the pieces that I don't need, all of the excess. And the next step will be to finish off my dart. And we do not sew all the way to the bust point, so I am coming down by 5/8 of an inch from the bust point. And then I'm going to reshape my dart from that point. I'm using my curvy ruler so that I can minimize having a pointy bust by using the curve ruler. That's what I'm trying to do. And even still, I feel like my bust did not come out as smooth as possible. And that is because the dart is very short and yet very wide. And I do have a few opinions on this, but I will share them more on my next video where I do deal with large darts. And here I'm showing you what adjustments need to be made because I removed that excess ease from the side of my garment, causing some sort of tapering, which when I add my midriff to leads to some indentation. As you can see here, it's not that extreme, but it is obvious to me. And I did leave my test garment without making this adjustment, so you can see what happens when you do not make this adjustment to smooth out your midriffs and make sure everything connects well. And by removing 3/16 of an inch on the waistline, you're not doing anything wrong because my garment, my pattern has a total of 1 inch ease added to it. So me removing this just from the front, it does not cause any damage to my garment. It just makes everything lay smoothly on my body. And on here, I added this clip just to show you how nice it is when you have a smooth line going on when you connect your back and front midriffs together, just to have that smooth line going on. And that's what will happen when you sew your garment as well. And this is my finished pattern for my Empire bodice. And now I'll just let you watch everything and how I put it all together, and you'll see the end results at the end of the video. And only thing for me to mention here is my curvy dart. Because it's curvy, I pin over it with several pins so I can mark enough points to connect my curves together. And yeah, that's all. You will see that also throughout the video. So I'll just let you watch from here.